Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga-Texas construction update video.
Well, good morning. It's a Monday, the 25th of September, 2025 here at Giga-Texas. And there is a lot of activity, a lot of news, and things that you will probably find very interesting that I'm going to cover here in the intro. First of all, as you can see by this image, started off early with a beautiful sunrise over the factory. And I think this is very appropriate considering what is happening with production and employees coming back to work today, which we'll get into in just a second. But since I was on that west side, I got a chance to get some good images of how that new end-of-line facility is looking today. Also, there's a recent permit revision that was just filed with the city of Austin, and it gives more clarification of what is going on for this particular facility. It's basically testing, calibration, vehicle preparation, kind of like we talked about, but it will also have some minor repair capability as well, which is very common for most car manufacturers, as sometimes cars come off the line with a few blemishes that need to be repaired. So this particular facility will have all of that capability. Now, as far as production is concerned, a couple of things that I want to talk about. First of all, I've heard from sources that today most of the employees have come back to work. It's part of the getting all the employees back to be tested, familiarized with a lot of the new equipment, get some of that equipment operational, go through some of the last minute checks out that are necessary to begin the production. So that's going to be happening most of this week. In addition to that, you can take a look at this image with the parking lots. They are very full. In fact, you can also see with this particular image a line of employees that just arrived waiting for transport inside. And we have not seen that for the last 3 weeks. So another great sign. Also, another great sign about the production that is starting to resume in the testing and checkouts that are going on is up here at the north end of the factory with this image. You can see 3 bodies in white of Model Ys have been manufactured. At least one of them is the 4680 variant. The other one is the 2170 variant. And we haven't seen this kind of work in about a month. So it's great to see that they're starting to get the Model Y production lines up and running. In addition to that, I've been hearing some insider information that inside the factory for the Cybertrucks, they have been working on those production lines, but also on a few more of the pre-production variants. In this case, they're called the master candidates. So these are the final candidates that are being produced to make sure all of the tooling is correct, all of the training is correct, all of the operation of the production line, and also just to make sure that final changes, if there's any at all, can be made. But these master candidates are very great to see. In fact, we get the chance to see what I believe is 2 of them out at the site today. Here's one image. This is over in the outbound lot, and I was fortunate to be able to capture these images while the car cover was off because of some storms that came through last night. Also, over at the superchargers, we see another one getting supercharged. And from this image, and then what you're going to see in the video, it really looks great. And it does look like it's probably a master candidate, which may also explain why some of the reservation holders are seeing some changes on the online studio when it comes to their reservations as well. So great to see. Now, one other thing that I do want to talk about, there's so much going on today, but it's very interesting, is on the northeast corner at the casting machine structure, they're removing windows now along the east side. This is that area where right in the middle bay, they've been installing a new furnace, and this furnace is going to be used to melt down scrap aluminum that comes from the casting process and other processes so that they can have an on-site capability of doing that, and then they can flow that right back into new castings. And that work is going on inside, and it may be related to the fact that windows are being removed. Now, there's a lot more that we could talk about, but we're going to do that in the video itself. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. I hope that all of this information on the intro is both informative for you, but also exciting that Giga-Texas is starting to come back into production capability. So anyway, take care, have a great rest of the week, and thanks for watching.
My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga-Texas.
I thought it was great to be able to start today with this beautiful sunrise over the factory and all of the really nice lighting effects that we're getting from the factory and some of the other buildings around. Also the reflections on some of the water that recently came through with a thunderstorm, and you'll see that throughout the site. But there is just so much news, so much activity on this very busy day, and we talked a little bit about that in the intro. But there's so much more to talk about. Here on the new outbound lot, we can see trenching for the underground concrete pipes for the water management system. On the left-hand side of the screen, we see the long HDPE pipe that has been fuse welded together, getting ready to go underneath the highway through that horizontal drilling. A truck on the left bringing some more of that brown steel that's going to be assembled onto this end-of-line facility. We can see some more of the decking material on either side of this light that's going to be for the walls and through the roof. Also on the walls, you'll see that darker band. That's a semi-transparent material that's part of the wall. It allows illumination from daytime to go in and helps reduce the electrical usage within this facility. And it's pretty neat because they don't have to have windows, but they can still get a lot of light into that facility with that semi-transparent material. We also talked about the permits that was filed revising this West Support facility and talking specifically about the end-of-line facility and how it's going to be for testing, calibration, final checkouts, and also minor repairs of new vehicles before they're ready for outbound shipping. So there's a lot going to be going on in this particular facility. On the south end, we can see that there's this one last section remaining that they're finishing up the trenching and the plumbing. All of the footings are already in, so once they're ready with the filling in the trenches, they'll be able to put that moisture barrier, the rebar, and then finish up the slab on this particular side. As I bring the drone down here, this gives you a good view of the most recent slab. It's already been cross-cut. We can see workers on these 3 depressions. I'm not exactly sure what these are for. Again, it may be for, I don't know, vehicle lifts or some other machinery, but it's interesting to see that those 3 cutouts are formed into the slab. As far as the structure itself, a lot more of that fireproof white paint has been installed on the inside. We can see how the columns and some of the open section inside looks. How the wall panels on this side of the building appear, and also you can see some more of that semi-transparent wall material being put up at the top part of the wall. And again, that's going to give a lighting effect inside during day throughout the entire facility, which is outstanding. Now on the north part, we can see a good look at the horizontal drilling operation underway. Looks like the pit that they're drilling in filled up with all of the rainwater that we just got, but otherwise still a lot of great progress going on here. Again, that HDPE pipe that's been fused welded is very easy to see on the right hand side of the screen. And as I reposition the drone here, give you a good view of the end-of-line facility from the north looking to the south and how it is coming together and what its appearance looks like on this early morning. So let's get ready to fly up over the highway, and we'll take a look at the other side of where this drilling operation is underway and see what type of activity we can find on that side of the highway. I thought I would use this excellent early morning lighting to give you an overall view of the factory, looking at the roof, some of those solar panels with the Tesla on top, and just generally how the factory looks with all the lighting coming through the windows on this west side. It was just a great opportunity with the lighting effects and the sunrise that we had this morning. Now here, just past these trees, you'll see these blue fence items. This is the end of where the horizontal drilling operation comes underneath the highway and comes out over here. In fact, you can see that drill pole that's sticking into that hole there, and more of the poles on the ground waiting for future use. Again, there's some water in there from all the rain. We can also see the trench that has been filled in with the paving across the road over to this section, and all the concrete work over here has been completed. We can also see these small tents. This is part of the place where trucks or buses drop off the employees and they get ready for work. The new entrance is looking really nice. I was hoping to see it lit up this morning. It was not, but the lighting is still very good to get an idea of how this looks. Kind of get a little bit of the reflection in the windows and how that treatment continues into the actual inside of the building, just past the glass doors as well. Lighting is not perfect for that, but it's really a nice effect, and I really want to see this lit up. So next time I'll try to get the lighting on camera. Hopefully they'll have that done. Now here on the left-hand side is more of that area where they've pulled up the concrete. They've been doing some trenching. Looks like that's nearing completion, and then hopefully we'll see some more concrete put in. On this side of the building, a lot of materials being stockpiled here. It's part of that upgrade for the General Assembly lines, but because the employees are back and we're starting to get information about production resuming, at least with all the training and the final checkouts inside, it tells me that most of the work, at least for the parts to sustain production, are complete, while other areas are still having some work being done. We can see the workers on top of the platform getting ready to bring some more items up, and they do notice the drone, so you can wave at them and say hello. But good views inside as well, and just generally how this activity by these platforms and the continued amount of materials that are brought in and brought up to the second and third floor of this side of the building. I thought I would bring the drone up and farther away just to give a good overall view of how the south end looks today, and then we'll come back in for a closer view. We can see the paved section of the 2 lanes east and westbound for River Road just to the south of the Cyber Pond. We also see how that intersection is operational now. All the markings have been put in place and traffic is definitely using that. We get a good view of the southeast side of stamping with that blue material. All of the windows now on this side of the building have been removed. And interestingly enough, later in the video, we're going to see the northeast side of the building is having some of the windows removed as well. As we bring the drone back down to take a look at the south end construction site, besides all the water from the rains, we can see that the continuous flight auger system is moved further to the west now, a little bit farther away from the building itself, and they're continuing to do those drills, bores into the ground to make those reinforced piles that will support the new structure once that begins. This is a good view of all of the yellow panels that have been installed along this side of the building, especially here at the Stamping 2 extension. It looks like all of the panels have been installed on the inside. The insulation's being installed, that pink material, and then they're putting the yellow exterior panels on to the structure to finish this off, at least for this period of time. And just looking at the roof line, you can see how that appears. This may be something that will be important later on when the rest of the structure is built. Maybe that'll be how it joins together. But it'll be something I'll continue to watch and see what they do. But here's a good look back at this side of the building with all the work on Stamping 2 as well. We can also see a good view of that blue material where those windows were removed off of the southeast corner. And one of the things I did notice, I want to come over here and show you, is that it looks like there's some steel items, these gray material that's just been brought down here. It looks like they may be, I don't know if they're columns or beams, but that's the first of that type of material I've seen down in this part of the factory for some time. More of the materials here next to these 2 tanks as well, and also just the materials that have been brought, some of them wrapped in white, some of them in clear, some of them in the wooden containers on this east side of stamping. So we're going to fly along the wall line here, looking towards the northeast and give you a good view of what's going on next to the factory, but also how the multi-level garage, parking garage construction site looks today. A lot of water standing on it. Maybe they're going to wait for that to dry up before they resume the work. We can see the sedimentation basin has got quite a bit of water in it as well. And of course, the testing and calibration lot is not all that full with vehicles. However, we'll see later on, there's employees working in that section today. Also, a good view early on of the parking lot. A lot of the vehicles coming in. By the time I get back to this portion of the lot, after seeing the battery cathode plant, we're going to see that the lot and the overflow lot is filling up quite a bit because of all the employees that are returning to work. As we fly up over the east parking lot, notice one thing, there's a lone Cybertruck in the outbound lot. So let's get ready to take a closer look at that vehicle. So as I mentioned, we had storms come through the area last night. It took the car cover off, so we get a good view of this Cybertruck. Now what I'm being told is this is one of the master candidates. It's also called a Series 8 vehicle. If you remember, the release candidates were Series 6. They would have number 6 with a couple other digits. We saw a lot of those all over the country, and those numbers went up into the higher 600 number range from some of the vehicles that we saw. But this one, as a master candidate, is an 800 series. And this is much, much closer to the production that we're going to see. And they're also used to just validate the final production lines, the training of the employees, and the ability to do the production, which is very, very imminent now, probably going to be starting up either later this week or next week. From what I'm understanding is Tesla leadership is doing the final evaluation of the Cybertrucks today, later today from when I took the video, and pending their approval, then the production can begin officially. But this good view, top-down, kind of a 360, gives you a really good view of this vehicle, and it looks to me like it's in really great condition as far as ready for production, and I hope that you enjoyed this view. But fortunately, this is not the only Cybertruck that we're going to see today, and let's get ready to go over to the testing and calibration lot where we'll see another one that's being supercharged and ready for that executive checkout later today here at Giga-Texas. Here we are at the superchargers. We see another Cybertruck. We also see Model Ys here getting supercharged as well. So this is just a great sign that production is getting ready to resume for both the Model Ys and for the Cybertruck, pending the executive approval that should happen later today here on the site. Now this is a good view for those interested in how the Cybertruck fits within the parking lot and also with the superchargers themselves with the supercharger cable. It seems to fit fine, although it is a little bit of a tight squeeze. This is also another of the master candidates. I'll zoom in so you get a good view of it. This one has been driven around the lot, as you can see by some of the mud on the side. As I mentioned, this is going to be used for the executive checkout later today, and hopefully that goes well and we can start seeing production for the customer delivery version of the Cybertrucks very, very soon. But this is a good view of this particular one as well, and it looks to me like it's in really great condition. It looks like the final tolerances for the Cybertruck customer production is very, very close. And it's just great to see these two and what this means for what we're going to be seeing soon for Cybertruck production here at Giga-Texas. So let's proceed now over towards the multi-level parking garage construction site, a little bit lower altitude than we were before in the video. This gives you a good view of some of the trailers, the parking for the contractors. some of the work that's going on this north end, specifically this underground manifold system. They're predominantly using concrete pipes in this section. There's multiple pipes parallel to each other, and it looks like there's now a kind of a diversion that's heading off towards the west, and this is a really good view of how this is going to look. I believe that this is going to be a heavily trafficked location. That's why they're using the concrete. You also see the gravel that they're putting around on top of the concrete before they fill the trench back in with the fill dirt. As we fly up over the warehouse on wheels on the east side of the facility, you can get a good view of the overflow lot on the left. By the time I come back around, there'll be a lot of vehicles there, which is, again, consistent with employees coming back to work. But right now, let's take a look at the south end of the battery cathode plant. We can see that the weighted or counterweighted red lifting arm that was used to put these pneumatic blenders inside, and here's a good view inside this open section of where they were installed. But that crane attachment is no longer needed, signaling that this work is completed and they're doing disassembly of that so they can move it off site. And I'm not sure what the status is going to be for the yellow crane itself. We'll watch that, but it's great to see that that part of the assembly is completed. You can see a lot more of the items, the red and the white items, next to the facility as well. And then at the crash test facility, we see some very interesting developments. So let's fly over and take a look at what's going on. First of all, in the small white structure, we can see that the garage door is open on this side. I'll zoom in, gives you a little bit of an idea of what it looks like in here. This is where it has the machinery that pulls the cable, that pulls the vehicles to hit the crash wall. And that concrete section in the middle of the screen is where the cable goes underneath the crash wall and then through the facility so that they can conduct the crash test. Now, speaking of the crash tests themselves, let's take a look closer in here. We can see some groundwork around where the crash wall is. We see two Model Ys getting ready for crash testing, it appears, and one of them actually has two of those mannequins inside that are used for crash testing. So it looks to me like this is definitely getting very close to conducting the first crash tests on this facility. Now we see the Cybertruck on the east side that's been here for some time. There's two other Cybertrucks on the north side of the building, and we'll get a chance to look at that here shortly. But it'll be interesting to see if we can get any images of Cybertrucks that have had crash testing done here at this facility. More of the outfall channel for the stormwater pipe is being worked on with formwork. As we come up to the north end of the building, we get a good look at how this portion looks today. It's got a very similar small structure on the north end with that garage door partially opened up, and then the containers on either side. As I zoom in, this gives you a good look at what's going on inside. Looks like there may be another Model Y with the lights on, possibly getting ready for crash testing, and then we see the two Cybertrucks on the right-hand side of the screen, as well as some of the vehicle lifts in red on the sort of west side of the inside of the facility as well. And then there's that white Model X that I also think is going to be used for crash testing. So I hope you enjoyed those views inside. It's pretty neat to see that this crash testing facility, after all this time being constructed, is about ready to become operational. The wade pit has some water in it from the rainwater, but otherwise it's not being used at this moment in time. Of course, the cell testing laboratory, it looks like it's pretty close to being completed. It might have some generators, those white items on the north side, providing some power temporarily for that facility. Just north of the receiving doors, we see some more of the trenching, a trench box inside, and that's kind of proceeding east to west. And then here at the new lift station, we see another one of those cylindrical concrete segments installed on the north side next to those rectangular ones. And then here the steel corrugated pipes waiting for installation. On the left-hand side of the screen, all those pipes, the white pipes sticking up out of the ground, just underneath that is where those steel corrugated pipes have been installed and the trench filled back in. The chilling plant, or the chiller plant, looks like it's busy as always. Just on the north side, there's a new set of scaffolding and stairs that was added on the last couple of days. And on the northeast corner of the die shop, this is a good view of that new slab with some more formwork emanating out from that wall. On the north end of the die shop, we can take a look here at this workshop. This is again where they do modifications to these steel pipes, and they have those orange caps on some of the pipes, I think, to help keep debris out of them while they are doing the modifications. On the west side of the die shop, we see a few interesting developments. First, it looks like the crews are getting ready to start putting in some of the windows. I'm wondering if the scaffolding on the inside isn't also part of what they need to be able to help put the windows in. But you can see one set of the windows has been unwrapped, and the crew is working on that window line. On the right-hand side, we see a trench box inside of a trench, more of the gravel being put in, and some more of the steel corrugated pipe. I think this is going to extend to the north along this side of the berm and the west side of the die shop. As I mentioned, the overflow lot is starting to fill up, and it's really kind of great to see this is happening. Also, the east parking lot is also very, very full. And if we take a look down near the middle part of the screen, you'll see a long line of employees waiting for their shuttle bus. And this is again consistent with the employees are all back to work, and we haven't seen this level of employee activity in quite some time. So it's a great and exciting time. We think that all of the upgrades that they've done to the production line and what that's going to mean for the production volume of both Model Ys and Cybertrucks now that most of that work is complete. Again, there's a really good view of the east parking lot just to get a sense for just how full it is with all of the employees back at work. So let's get ready to pass over the Tesla road. We can see just to the north of Tesla road where they're doing trench work for more electrical conduit. We're passing over the temporary Tesla trailer offices and the temporary electrical switchyard on the left. And I think from what I've been hearing is it may actually be disconnected, and most of the factory is being powered now by the new electrical switchyard, but I have to try to check that again and verify that information. On the south end, the underground vault, the two control trailers, and the wiring spools on the left. Looks like most of the wiring has been completed. There's crews working on the second transformer here, and that may indicate that they're getting ready to energize that and connect it to the factory. If that's the case, that'll be excellent news for production as well later this week. The north end electrical system for the Megapacks looks like it is coming along, and most of the work is completed. Some of the work on the north end of the trenching continues. You can see those pipes with the radius bends going down into the ground. But otherwise, most of the work here looks like it's pretty completed. The cable tray trenches on the ground, those kind of gray items, they've all had the covers installed all along its entire length and width. That's another great sign. That's where wiring is run from one section to the other. And I think from what I'm seeing here, pretty soon we're going to see some gravel mix spread along the ground. And once that's done, then they can start looking at energizing this system. The Megapack also looks like it's got virtually all of its wiring completed. All of the transformers look like they are wired in as well. And the perimeter fence is in place. So I think just gravel and some more tests, and then this might be ready to be operational as well. So here's a good overall view of just the entire new system, the new permanent switchyard on the upper right, and the Megapacks on the bottom left. A lot of very interesting developments here at the casting machine structure. You can see the windows at the bottom and those racks. They've been removed from the east side. You can see that long line here of all the windows that were removed. And I took advantage of the lighting and the fact that these windows were gone to give you this image here. What I'm showing you is the furnace system that has been installed now in this part of the casting machine structure. And this is something the Austin Business Journal article just recently commented on as well. And this gives Tesla the capability of melting down scrap aluminum and then reusing that here for more castings. And that progress on that installation is very nearly completed now. And that's really great to see. I don't know why they're taking the windows off. It may be related to that installation. But now on 3 of the 4 angled corners of the building, we've seen windows removed. And just on the north side, we've also seen some windows removed as well. I did notice these Model Ys. That looks like 2 of them are the 4680 variants. One of them is the 2170 variant with the floor. It's really great to see that this is happening, because this is part of that process of bringing the production lines and all of the new equipment back up into operational status. You can also see nearby some of those black racking systems. Those are to help mount the bodies and have them moved around the facility. And the last thing I noticed and I want to show you today is on the taller of the 2 platforms, you can see this kind of a bucket that's bringing up concrete. They've been doing a lot of internal work as part of the production line for the 4680 expansion in this section of the building. And it's really interesting to see that they're putting more concrete up in this floor. This is the 4th floor over that 4680 production cell section. So pretty cool to see that activity as well. So otherwise, as I pull away towards the north and give you a good overall view of the entire site, I think that this was an outstanding day when it comes to not only just construction and what we've seen with the upgrades to production, but also with all the employees showing back up, the Model Y bodies showing up on the north end, the master candidates for the Cybertrucks, and the executives doing a final checkout and approval for the Cybertruck production today. I think this has been just an outstanding day, and I hope that you enjoy the narration, what we talked about, and also all of the images along the way. As always, thank you for watching. Take care.